A little while back, I was on Amazon. I came across this bizarre NVMe to PCIe adapter. Before getting into it, I'd like to thank you for watching, and you can always support this channel by liking, sharing, subscribing, and making sure you got your bell icon turned on. And of course, leaving a comment down below. I truly appreciate your support. Now you might be asking, how is an SSD slot compatible with PCI Express devices? And whether it will work for non-storage PCIe device, like say a graphics card? Well, some of you may already know that this is not an SSD slot, it's an M.2 slot. And there could be different types of interfaces available at this slot, often dependent on your BIOS. The slot can potentially serve legacy SATA, PCIe using AHCI, and PCI Express using NVMe. The former two provide storage standards and won't work with this adapter, but the latter provides direct access to the PCI Express lanes, the same PCI Express lanes available in a typical PCIe slot on a standard motherboard. The difference between a PCIe slot and an M.2 NVMe slot is really just the pin configuration, which is exactly what this little adapter takes care of. Because of the limited PCI Express lanes, attaching a GPU to such an adapter will grossly bottleneck the performance, if you haven't guessed. So let's attach the GPU, shall we? This is our gaming PC. This is an old Intel 4th generation HP Desk Pro Office PC. This thing isn't even remotely suited for gaming, with only 4 gigs of RAM and a ½ terabyte of spinning Rust. The CPU would probably do alright, being a quad-core i5, but we'll fix that even a little bit better too. We start by upgrading the hard drive, because this is an upgrade that any sane person would do the moment they picked one of these up. Bypassing the TPM requirement, these systems run Windows 11 just fine. Let's take a performance baseline. These tests won't go as in-depth as sometimes do, but I just want to get some sort of an idea where we're at. I'm running this really old vintage copy of 3D Mark 2011. That could be because this channel focuses on vintage stuff, or it could just be because I had the installer on hand from something else. There are some issues which prevent the final score from being generated, but this will be good enough just to get an idea of performance, or lack thereof. Firmark, well, reiterates what we already know. Intel 4th gen chips have sucky-on-chip graphics by today's standards. I did fire up Wreckfest just to see, on low settings, this thing isn't even remotely playable. Okay, so let's see what happens when we beef this thing up a little bit. RAM is an easy upgrade. Pop out the single 4 gig stick and replace with 2 8 gig sticks for a total of 16 gigabytes of RAM. Here we install our funky NVMe adapter. It installs just like any other NVMe board. I think we should be okay for clearance of this cable after the cooler is back on. Now let's upgrade the Core i5 4590T to an i7 4770T. It will perform better, although only marginally. I do have some non-T versions of the 4770, but the TDP is higher, and I don't know if the VRMs on this little tiny PC are going to like it much. I think I do have an i7 4790 chip somewhere, but I think that would really stress the VRMs out. Applying exactly the right amount of thermal paste in the most perfectest pattern available. For this test, I wanted to use some laughably absurd GPU for this project, so I went with a full-size GTX 980, top of the line for back when it was produced. Because there's no way this poor little Desk Pro could ever muster up enough power to operate this 980 GTX, I've got a Corsair 500 watt power supply running externally. I did end up adding an extra fan to help with CPU cooling. I'm pretty sure these mini PCs were available with this particular CPU from factory, but the way the cooler is designed, it's not going to really properly pull airflow with the cover off. With the monitor plugged into the GPU, you can see that it works exactly as it would in a full-size tower. After installing the NVIDIA drivers, everything looks pretty normal. In 3D Mark, we see a huge uplift in frames. This is pretty neat considering this card should only be running at one PCI lane, and we should be significantly bottlenecked. Moving over to FurMark, we see a significant uplift in frames as well. RecFest at low settings becomes frame locked to 30 frames, and at ultra settings is mostly playable with the occasional hiccup, perhaps due to the limited PCIe lanes. In a pinch, you probably could do some light gaming on this thing, but the question arises, how much performance are we giving up by running over this single PCIe lane? Because curiosity prevailed, I pulled out this Intel 4th Gen motherboard, installed the same amount of RAM, as well as moved the CPU, SSD, and power supply from our HP Tiny. Now, if we wanted to get really scientific about it, I should probably do some baseline testings first to ensure that the base hardware doesn't have any advantages over the mini PC, which I'm sure it does. But we're just toying around with some old junk here at this point, and we want to know what the biggest bottleneck will be with the PCIe lanes. So let's get the results in a full PCIe 16 slot. As you can see, 3D Mark seems to have a small uptick in frames. Without being able to complete the full testing using this vintage version of 3D Mark, I've eyeballed it at around 20 frames. Although the uptick is likely due largely to the PCIe lanes, it's possible that the higher performance motherboard and chipset are also playing a factor to some degree. FurMark shows a higher blip in max frames, but averaging the same frame rate as the Tiny HP. There's actually a really fascinating article over at Tech PowerUp, which discusses specifically PCI Express lanes in relation to a GTX 980 using, ironically, a Core i7-4770K version. While they didn't run benchmarks on 1x PCIe lane configurations, and why would they? What sane person would be doing this? They did run as low as 4 lanes at PCIe Gen 1.1. The article notes that even being limited to 4 lanes of PCI Express 3, most games only showed around 5% loss in performance, although they did mention that some 4-lane slots are not actually wired directly to the CPU, and passing through the chipset can add additional losses. I'll link to the article in the description for anyone wanting to read more or is interested on this subject. Thanks so much for joining me while I was tinkering with this. I really appreciate your support. I really appreciate you sticking around to watch this. And please drop a comment down below and tell me what the oldest computer you use daily was. Also, remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. And maybe share this video with someone you think will find it interesting. Stay curious, keep tinkering, and until next time, happy retro computing, everyone.